Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k. Now in this video we've not got just one list for you, we've got two list builds for you, 2,000 points each list. One is from the Hypercrypt Legion, the other one is the Canoptek Court. Now they have been pre-built for a way to deal with fixed combos. I don't know if you've seen that video, we did it quite recently where we spoke about pairing certain fixed secondaries. So I have built those, well, these lists in mind with those secondaries, but both these lists can be used for general purpose. Even if you're playing tactical, they can still be used. But yeah, just bear in mind that I have thought about those fixed mission pairings. So yeah, go back and check that video out if you have missed it. Right, so let's kick this off with the Hypercrypt Legion. Their ability, of course, is to pick up our units that are not within engagement range at the end of the enemy's turn, or your opponent's turn, and you put them into strategic reserves, which is cool. It's my favourite detachment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the list. I'm going to mention the leader, then the unit that's being led by the leader. So I'm not going to go characters, then battle line, then others. I'm just going to kind of go with what they're with. Otherwise, you've got to pair it all up afterwards. We're also going to discuss the list as we go as well. So we've got it all in full rather than having a lump at the end. Okay, so Warlord for the Hypercrypt Legion, we've gone with a Locust Lord. Now, Warlords do have meaning nowadays. You've got to be a little bit more careful with Warlord selection. There's some mission selections that relate to Warlord. There's also the secret missions, which we also did another video about that, so check that one out as well. They are important. Make sure you select one that can survive, especially in the Hypercrypt Legion, because you've got a really good chance of scoring that you've got a really good chance of scoring that secret mission if you do have to go down that path. If you've got the Hypercrypt and the Hyperphage, you stick him into a safe zone and away you go. So I've chose one that's going to be having an invulnerable save of a 4+, leading a unit. I always go with the Lord's Blade. I like to have a bit of melee output with my Locust Lord, and I've always got the Resurrection Orb for his unit. So that's 80 points there. He's going to be going with 6 Locust Destroyers, so not the heavy version. The synergy itself is quite nasty because you get 5+ critical hit rolls with the Locust Lord. Ghost weapons have got lethal hits, which becomes lethal 1 of 5+. They've got plenty of shots, damage 2 as well. This group can take out a lot of different toughness groups. We also did a video on that recently. They work exceptionally well in the Hypercrypt Legion because their range attacks are only 24-inch range. So if you can pop them in, that means that they're going to be at near the closest eligible unit, which will mean you get to reroll once they hit. And if they are on an objective, you get to reroll everything. So it's a good little unit that can take out a lot of stuff. 180 points for the Locust Destroyers plus the 80 points for the Lord. So 260 point unit. Next we've got 2 Hexmark Destroyers. I did want 3, but the points has come out recently and I've had to make some sacrifices. They're mainly going to be for scoring secondary objectives, absolutely pivotal in fact in the Hypercrypt Legion. They've got Deep Strike, you can keep collecting them up, putting them back down again. Lone Op is massively important as well. So very easy to sneak into a position behind a ruin, out of sight, out of range. So they can't be targeted basically. They've got the free Overwatch ability and they hit on 2s in that Overwatch if something is close by. And if you drop them in pairs, they can work with each other because if they get targeted, if one of them gets targeted, the other one can shoot as if it's our shooting phase, which is kind of cool. They're 70 points each, so you can kind of throw them away. If they do die, it's just 70 points and they've at least scored you something if you're throwing them in the backfield. Maybe you have gone for behind enemy lines and established Locust. So if you throw one of them there, then that one single hex mark is going to score you 7 points alone. So you can afford to lose them if you were to lose them. Obviously you don't want to lose them, but your opponent has got to go out of their way to get rid of them. Yeah, and if they don't get them, you hyperphase them back out into safety and go again. Now in terms of those secondaries, in fact, behind the enemy lines we mentioned, established Locust is also an action. You'll be using that if you get there. They can also be doing Cleanse, so they've got the action capabilities again if you've selected Cleanse. Normally pairs for me with Storm Hostile Objective, so you'll have to do that elsewhere most likely. So yeah, 140 points, 2 Hexmark Destroyers. Next character, we've got a Chronomancer. So the Chronomancer is going to be leading a unit, which we'll discuss in a moment. He's going to be providing the movement after shooting ability, which is 5 inches, not 6 inches, which I've said in a previous video, only 5 inches. And also provide stealth for the unit. Now just a quick note, if you prefer a Plasmancer here, you can swap them out because they're the exact same points. Plasmancer is a little bit more offensive because it gives the criticals on a 5+. I prefer to take the Chronomancer because you've got the option of using Cosmic Precision with the unit that he's going to be with, and then moving the unit after doing the Cosmic Precision stratagem. And it could potentially get you things like Storm Hostile Objective. So that's why I've gone with the Chronomancer in this situation. Now he's going to be leading a unit of 10 Immortals carrying the Gorse Blasters. I don't think I'm going to be needing the Tesla Carbines because they're most likely sitting on the home objective for at least a while. And also the Tesla advance ability thing isn't a thing anymore because you can't advance and do an action like we used to do. So that thing is not a thing. There is another reason to have this unit within our list. It's a battle line unit and they're very important. Just like the Warlord is very important nowadays, there is a secret mission that relates to battle line units, so you've got to have at least one. We don't have to, but your opponent can select one of the secondary missions which requires them to kill all the battle line units, or have you having none left on the table, and if you've got none to start with, you're already at a disadvantage. But there's also lots of other perks for having battle line units within the list. As far as the secondaries go for Immortals, Storm Hostile is quite a good one with the amount of OC that they've got in the unit. And with the Chronomancer, again, I've already said this, Cosmic Precision, then move 5 inches after doing the Deep Strike ability. And yeah, you can steal an objective that way, doesn't matter where it is. And that's after shooting as well, so you can lower your opponent's model count and OC before even moving. I mean, they can cleanse. I think that's a little bit of a waste unless you're not within range of anything. But if you are choosing cleanse, you've got to do it with something, haven't you? You need to cleanse with something that has OC. So this could be potentially them. On to the next character. There's quite a few characters here, guys. We've got a Technomancer. He's offering durabilities to his unit. He gives a 5+ fear no pain save to the unit, as well as healing a wounded model D3. Doesn't offer much offensively with the Staff of Light, and they don't carry an invulnerable save either, so they are susceptible to precision attacks and epic challenge and things, so you've got to be a little bit careful on that front. And of course, he's going to be going with a unit of Canoptek Wraiths. Now, the Canoptek Wraiths have gone up 5 points per model. I did, in fact, have 2 units of these before this list was built, or before the update was out. I have changed things around. And I've now got 1 unit, because the points increases quite a lot. So it's 250 points for a unit of 6, then you've got to plus 85 for the Technomancer. It gets quite expensive, but these guys, they're arguably worth it. I mean, they've lost a little bit of light because the pistols don't do actions in engagement range anymore, so odd that they've gone up rather than down in terms of points. But they're quick, they're moving 10 inches, they've got the 4+ invulnerable save, the 5+ fear no pain save with the Technomancer. They do a reasonable amount of damage with the Vicious Claws, 2 damage a pop, mortal wounds on the flyovers, and they're going to be primary objective mission hunters, effectively. We need something that can battle in no man's land, and we don't actually have much that can do that. So it was quite a challenge for me to replace them, because what do you replace them with that's got enough OC, enough damage output and durability? I know where you're thinking Catan. The OC is the only thing that lacks, but everything else is there. But that's what I've done. I've gone with Catan, and I've in fact gone with 2. I've gone with 2 Transcendent Catans. I actually really like Transcendent Catans, and they're really good if you're playing fixed in particular, because they can go wherever they want to go effectively, within reason, 9 inches away of course. Good all-rounders, they can shoot reasonably well at infantry, and in terms of melee, they're pretty decent. I mean, every time I've used my Transcendent, I've only got 1 at the moment, but every time I've used him, he's always slapping 15 to 20 damage out in a fight phase, which is pretty good. I mean, the last outing, one of them killed Scarbrand, and it was in 1 fight phase. It's pretty good. They're durable as hell, toughness 11, a 4+ invuln, halving damage, 5+ fear no pain on top of that. The ability he has is key though, advance into the teleport move. I really do like that. That's going to really assist on your secondaries, behind enemy lines, engage on all front if you're doing those. Potentially he can help with Storm Hostile Objective, whether it's shooting units out the way to let something else take over, or just getting involved and bullying a unit off an objective. But yeah, don't waste them on doing actions though, because they're way too expensive. Let your cheap stuff like your hex marks do the actions. You're spending 200 and whatever he is, 285 points I believe per Transcendent to do an action. That's not worth it. That's not their game. Next we come on to what I call the bits and bobs of the list. We've got 2 minimum units of Canoptek Scarabs, 0 OC, but that's fine because they can, even though they can't do actions with 0 OC, they're going to be running behind the Wraith unit that has a Technomancer, and that Technomancer will provide them a +1 to their OC. So they can be your action monkeys. Again, we're talking cleanse there. They can be the ones doing it. But yeah, action monkeys, they're only 40 points a unit. You can use them to blow up as well, which is a decent amount of damage for what they are. And don't forget, Canoptek Scarabs can be used for behind enemy lines and engage on all fronts, because they are not action secondaries, they're just position secondaries. So they can be doing that, not a problem. Next, this one's going to shock you. It's a 75-point Reanimator. Canoptek Reanimator, I think these are making a comeback for me personally. Multiple uses for this list. The first one is a system of reanimation, of course. But that's not the real reason I'm bringing them. They are now my new go-to action hero. Because the Canoptek Scarabs, yes, you can provide them with extra OC with the Cryptex or command barges in other lists. But Reanimators are a little bit more durable. They've got the 4+4 no pain save naturally. You can put them on a 4+ invulnerable save with one of the stratagems, because this is the Hypercrypt Legion. Normally you're using that stratagem on the monolith, but don't forget, Reanimators are vehicles. So you can give them a 4+ invuln, 4+4 no pain save, get these guys doing the actions, cleanse, whatever it is. It's not going to be shooting, it's not going to be charging, and it's going to potentially be helping those Canoptek Wraiths even more so. Okay, on to the last units within this list. To cap the list off, we've got 2 units of 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers with the Gorse Disruptors, damage 6 weapons. We do need a bit of anti-tank in this list. It is slightly lacking on the anti-tank. That's normally how I play, to be honest with you. I normally go Katana and a few anti-tank options. They can sit on the home objectives, which would allow the Immortals to be let off the leash if you want. Just make sure you deploy them within good firing lanes, or at least get to near good firing lanes so they can move and then pop out the ruin and shoot. But yeah, you want to be making use of that. I've got an itchy nose. It's hay fever season. You want to be making use of these guys at the biggest and baddest, scariest units. So that's the Hypercrypt Legion list. If you're playing fixed, like we've said already, it covers behind enemy lines and established locus, because you've got the Hex Smart Destroyers, you've got the Catan, the 2 Catan in fact, with the teleport ability, Cosmic Precision you can use on anything apart from the Catans, and other units in general will just assist with that. It's going to cover Cleanse and Storm Hostile Objective. Again, the Reanimators there this time with Cleanse. The Scarabs can be there if they have a Technomancer. The Wraiths can do the Storm. Catan can do the Storm. Immortals can even do the Storm. And the Locust Destroyers, which we've not really mentioned much about because they were right at the start of the list. They're going to be doing a lot of the dog work, a lot of the donkey work, because they're going to be shooting anything that gets on objectives. They can shoot them, and then we can effectively storm hostile objective. Now, in terms of playing tactical, it's a fairly balanced list to equip with most of the secondaries reasonably well. Again, it could probably do with a little bit more firepower in terms of the anti-tank stuff, but don't forget we do have 2 Transcendent Catans in there. Right, let's move on to the Canoptek Court list then. So the lists they were similar. I can't remember how similar they are now because I've had to completely change the list with the update. So they were very similar before the update. Now, any units that I've already mentioned within the previous list, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'll be just repeating myself, but we don't need to hear that. So let's get on to this Canoptek Court list then. We've got obviously the Power Matrix. So everything is going to be rerolling 1s, or Canoptek and Cryptic units are rerolling 1s everywhere, and within the Power Matrix they get to reroll all the hit rolls. So let's get into the first one. Again, we've got 2 Hexmark Destroyers. There was 3, I've taken 1 out. One of them will be the Warlord. These are just auto-includes for me, you know. They're just so good. Okay, we're not in the Hypercrypt Legion, so you can't be pulling them out this time. But with Lone Operative, you deep strike into a decent enough position, and then maybe you are going for behind enemy lines and established locus. Yeah, so that's the 2 Hexmarks. One of them is the Warlord. Then we've gone to a Cryptek number 1, which is a Plasmancer. Originally, this list had Orokin, which you don't see much of him anymore, but it was Orokin. Couldn't afford it, so it's now a Plasmancer with a 5+ critical hit rolls. He throws mortal wounds out in the shooting phase, which does ignore Lone Op because it's not a ranged attack. Most importantly, he's got the Cryptek keyword, so any unit that he's going to go with or be leading, they're going to gain all the rerolls from the Power Matrix. So he's going to be going with those Immortals again. 10 Gorse Blaster Immortals, very similar to the previous list. They are now Cryptek because they share the Cryptek keyword, so they're re-rolling potentially all the hit rolls and potentially all the wound rolls because of their own ability. I'm going to be using them slightly different in this list than the previous list. They're going to be supporting in the No Man's Land. We need a little bit more OC in the No Man's Land, so that's what they're going to be doing. And remember secret missions, guys. You need to keep your battle line units alive, just in case. And that's in fact why I've selected an Hexmark Destroyer to be my Warlord than the Plasmancer. Again, I've kind of separated that. Don't want to put all my eggs in one basket for it to just get destroyed in turn 3 or turn 4. Okay, so we've got 2 Technomancers for obvious reasons. They're going to be leading those Canoptek Wraiths, of course. One of these, though, will have the Dimensional Sanctum enhancement for 20 points to give infiltrators to one of those Wraith units. So double Wraiths in this list, unlike the other list. They're much better in this detachment because they're going to be re-rolling hit rolls of a 1, potentially all the hit rolls if they're within the power matrix. I like these for Storm Hostile Objective, but mainly for them it's about the primaries. We need units that can stay on the primaries with durability and do a bit of punch. We need something that can do that. These are perfect. I know they've gone up in points, but I just don't know what to replace them with, especially in the Canoptek Court. I mean, are we going to go with loads and warriors? I don't know. They've not got the killing power. They don't really do what Wraiths do, and they're still expensive. I know Wraiths are expensive, but if you point for point it with warriors and look at how many wounds you get compared to Wraiths, and look at the toughness, only toughness 4 and a 4-up armor save and no invulnerable save, Wraiths are still better. So that's why I've stuck with the Wraiths here. I mean, we could also be using things like monoliths. They've got OC 8, but this is the Canoptek Core. We need some Canoptek units. Okay, on to the next unit. Like the previous list, although we've only got one this time because we've swapped it back, it's the Transcendent Catan. We've made room for those Wraiths, haven't we? Engage on all fronts is ideal. Storm Hostile is ideal. Behind enemy lines and all that jazz. Transcendent Catans can do pretty much all of the work. Just a nice beat stick character that can help mix things up. Get your card. If you're playing tactical, most of the cards, they can deal with it. Some of the heavy hitters on the list, it's 3 Canoptek Doomstalkers. We've gone with 3. I know they're more expensive now. They're 145 ahead, or a model. So that makes it 435, I believe. They'll be sitting in my own deployment zone, so they're re-rolling all the time. Their hit rolls, and one of them can do the stratagem fight Overwatch on a 5+. Re-rolling everything still. A nice damage dealer, especially in 3s. They also hurt elite infantry, or elite anything really. And they got blast too, which is nice. I mean, I can actually afford to move them into a better firing lane or just a better position to overlook an objective because we're re-rolling everything. Yes, heavy is nice, but re-rolling everything is okay. So we get into better position if needed. They're not going to help too much with the secondaries or primaries really, but we do need some firepower at the back. Next, we've got Canoptek Reanimators. This time I've gone with 2. Crazy, I know, I'm absolutely crazy. But I made space and I didn't know what else to put in after taking things out. And push comes to shove, I thought we need some action monkeys and why not have 2? We've got 2 units of Wraiths, we can have a Reanimator per Wraith, or Wraith unit. So yeah, 1 Reanimator per Wraith unit. Cleansing objectives if needed. The Wraiths are going to have 2d3 on their reanimation, then a d3 heal from the Technomancer. If the Wraiths aren't touched and maybe the Reanimator has lost some wounds, then the Technomancer can heal the Reanimator. The Reanimator is also going to have 2d3 on the reanimation anyway because it's within its own aura. I think they're actually good. I think they're good. I know I've been slating them off for the past year or so now, but now that Scarabs have lost their OC, and I know Scarabs can do it because of the Technomancer, I know that. But I'm starting to like these guys as an action monkey. They're fairly durable as well, 4+3 no pain as you know. And you can make them non-targetable within 18 inch. It used to be 12. It used to be effectively low up with the stratagem, but now it's been moved to 18 with the update. And it costs you 1 CP to do so. It's still effective, not as effective, especially if they're in the No Man's Land. They won't be getting charged though because the Wraiths will pretty much be surrounding them. Then we got some more Canoptek Scarabs. Same reason as they were in the Hypercrypt Legion list, although in this detachment they're re-rolling their hit rolls for lethals. They're not doing a massive amount of damage, but they're a little bit more they're better, a little bit better. Mainly used for secondary scoring, engage on all fronts. We do have the Reanimators though in this list, so cleanse won't necessarily be needed. unless those reanimators go. That's fine if they do, they're going to tank. 4+, feel no pain, they're going to tank stuff. The Scarabs are sort of a backup plan in case they do go. But you can also use these as an anti-deep strike as well, or a screen for our Doomstalkers. But yeah, engaging on fronts, behind enemy lines if we chose that. I feel like with the Canoptek Court, you're less likely to go with behind enemy lines and established locus because we don't have that quick deep strike ability and then in and out, in and out. Okay, there are some hex marks in the list, but not as effective as the Hypercrypt Legion. So that is the Canoptek Court list. If you are playing behind enemy lines and established locus, we said it already, the hex marks can do it, the Catan can do it. For Cleanse and Storm Hostile, the Wraiths, of course, there's a couple of units of Wraiths, Scarabs, Reanimators, Immortals, the Catan can get involved. The hex marks can even get involved as an option C, really. They can come in and do the cleanse if needed. This is meant to be a versatile list, don't forget. So if you aren't playing fixed, you can probably afford to take out a few things because you don't need as many of those fixed scorers. But I would probably recommend keeping the hex marks in case you do pull behind enemy lines and so on. But yeah, it's quite balanced. Again, it probably lacks slightly on the anti-tank. That's just the way I seem to make lists. But I had to make a lot of changes. So yeah, that's my 2 lists, guys. Let me know what you think. If you're prepared to use them, let me know how it went in the comments down below. But yeah, if you missed that fixed missions video, go back and check that out. Quite interesting to see how we can score stuff. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time.